First, I want to start by saying Kalalalia Hawa, Bashem Yaushai, Bashem Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of James Street Stone. Salutation to you, Akim, the appreciation, truth, and sincerity, the hopeful elect, Shalom. This is the brother Kanan from GMS Jamaica, here with another lesson. And today I want to highlight why you Negroes, Hispanics are being targeted, because everybody's seen this whole push of the vaccine at this time, and we all here whose race is being identified as the vulnerable and the needed, what I mean, are persons that are most at risk as a nation. They use the term black and they use Hispanics, what I mean, but really and truly they are referring to you Israelites, because you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are the descendants of Jacob, which his name it was changed to Yasher Alar Israel, and you are the sons and daughters living today. You are the sons and daughters of the Heavenly Father. You are special people unto Him, and I'm going to show for those who have ears to hear why you are being targeted, all right, or why you are targets. Now, it's pretty simple, all right, and I'm going to start with the first precept. All right, let's let's start with the video. All right, so this just proof to show that you guys are targets. All right, so let me just play that and then get into some scriptures.
Cynicism and the skepticism. It is not without cause. The Tuskegee experiment is a terrible stain on the soul of this nation. The system does have biases and injustices, but that is not true in the case of this vaccine.
All right, so pause real quick. If you don't know what the Tuskegee test that is referring to is, I would advise you to Google it. Go on YouTube. There's videos out there showing you what it's about, and it's showing you how but then they were making a whole craze, or just like what they're doing about this pandemic at this time, maybe not that big but similar. It was so-called a national crisis back then, and they wanted to test um, this disease on Negroes, I mean, you Israelites, and they literally infected these men, send them out to spread the disease, and also they wanted them to die so they could do studies according to them. You know what I mean? And they all, well, majority of, I would say, if not all, majority knew about it, and they kept silent. You know what I mean? But eventually the truth came out, and then the apologies, and then them tried peeling off. You know it works already. Alright? But the moral of that is, this is the same government will always come out and tell you that things are safe, always targeting you so-called minorities, you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, that this is safe and they want it for your benefit. Like, whenever the government care about Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that you are always being put on the as the topic, as the poor puppy that they need to look after. Let's play some more.
One of our pressing challenges is to make sure that the vaccine is made available fairly. COVID exposed many existing injustices in our society. It showed us the health disparities that exist and how many communities don't have fair access to health care. COVID showed that racism is a public health crisis also.
Let me pause again. Just dissecting what he's saying. So COVID, right, the big C, is what revealed to these men that there is injustice or racial injustice in their society, and they want to fix it because they need you people to take the vaccine. Oh, very fortunate, right? Just want you guys to think, right? Let's continue.
Killed black people in this country at 2 times the rate of white people. And
Wow, is that factual? Oh, he said the rate. So I don't know what rate he's talking about when, well, he said in this country. So maybe he has some stats that we are not aware of. But that doesn't sound right to me. You know what I mean? You know, many millions of you Negroes and Latinos and Native Americans, the so-called white man put to death and still is put into death, even with the same so-called big C or whatever they are saying with whatever they're putting out there. You know what I mean? With their bad food, bad pharmacies, drugs. You know what I mean? You know how much people these men are responsible for? But yet, this big C is so dangerous that we need to remove this racial injustice so that you people can be properly protected. Let's continue.
Hispanic people at 1.5 times the rate of white people. Testing for COVID was more available in richer, whiter communities, and the infection rate was higher in black, Hispanic, and poor communities. This can't happen again, and it can't happen with this vaccine. In New York, we're committed to making the vaccine available to everyone, everywhere. We have a special task force headed by Attorney General Leticia James, National Urban League President Mark Morial, Secretary of State Rosanna Rosada, and Healthcare First President Pat Wang. Your pastor, the Honorable Reverend Dr.
Alright, so a lot of things he's saying is bullcrap, and I'm just gonna skip through it because what I want you to hear is when he says that. Let's see if I can find it.
Vaccine is available in the South Bronx and the east side of Buffalo and Wyandanch and South Jamaica and Edgerton and East Utica, our healthcare deserts. Our job is not done. I'll do my part, but you have to do your part. We all need to have faith and trust in the vaccine.
Let's carry back just here.
Generosity.
Let's start here.
It will be available as fairly and as quickly as we can make it happen. Race or income will not determine who lives and who dies. And I mean it. And that's why I say to you today that I want to take the vaccine. I move around a lot and come into contact with many people, and I would feel much safer if I took the vaccine. But I will not take the vaccine until the vaccine is available for my group in black, Hispanic, and poor communities around the state.
You hear that? You hear that crazy information that this dude is broadcasting on live TV? He wants to take the the vaccine, but he won't because he's putting his life at risk so that inequality and injustice or racial injustice can be removed from out of the health departments. Well, let's get into some scriptures, right? First thing I want to say is remember the scripture says, never trust thine enemy. Trust your enemy, right? For as your iron rusted, so is their wickedness. And if you just wipe remove the rust, well, if if you wipe the looking glass, sorry, just paraphrasing, so bear with me. You can see through them, man. That way must have make no sense. You know what I mean? Always trying to be the nice guy to push evil agenda. Now, why you Negroes and why you Hispanics? Why you Native Americans? Why? As I said earlier, you are the true biblical Israelites. You know what I mean? And the Most High have you as a special people unto himself. Let them just get that really quick. Alright? So, this is Deuteronomy 32, and I'm going to start from verse 7. Right? So, Deuteronomy 32, verse 7, and it states, yes, it says, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations, ask thy father, and he will shew thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. Right? So, let's go back into history. Right? Just trying to make things a little plain for those who are new to this. Now, go back into history. Where is where all this racial tension coming from, and the dividing and all of that? You know what I mean? Because at one point there was um, Noah and his son, and then you have all nation come through Noah. Well, the Most High been dividing nations from then time coming up, you know what I mean? And can be giving them languages, giving them different culture, and creating barriers or diversity amongst them. All right, and there's two specific nations on the earth that is really of key importance to a lot of things that's taking place, and that nation is Israel first and foremost, and then the second nation comes after is Esau. Now, Israel, Yasharallah, is the son of God. Esau, Edom, is classified as the wicked, the seed of the wicked. You know what I mean? The other nations are just basically seen as uh, regular men, or sons of men. Now let's continue. Right? It says, when the Mosai divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the large portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land and in the waste bowling wilderness. He led him about, he instructed him, he kept him as the apple of his eye. Alright? Now Jacob, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, Deuteronomy 28 can prove or show a lot of things that are to prove that you people are the real Israelites. For example, the slave trade. In Deuteronomy 28 and 64, it shows that we will be moved from one. Let me just read it real quick. It says Deuteronomy 28 and 64, it says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there shall thou serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So the Most High scatter Israel, the dispersed, the diaspora, right? That's what they refer to you guys as. You know what I mean? So him scatter you from one end of the earth in the east to the west, the new world. Right? You're in the Caribbean, the Americas, and you are the children we call Israelites. Alright? Jump to verse 68 in the same chapter. And you can read out the others just to prove that this is talking about you. You know what I mean? It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, meaning save you. Right? So again, these same people that are being scattered from one end of the earth will be scattered also by ships, and that's the transatlantic slave trade. And I mean, there's another precept I want to highlight real quick. All right, let me find it really fast. All right, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 43. It says, the strangers within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. You hear this man speaking, he's referring to you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans as minorities are being the low. Because it's not minority in the sense that you are least in number. It means that you are classified as less fortunate. Let's put it that way. Alright? He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Right, minorities. Alright, so let's get back here. So Deuteronomy 32 says the Most High, choose you Israelites as is the apple of his eye, the special people. Alright, let's get to the next precept. Right, because we want to understand, right? Jacob and Esau, the diversity, the difference, what happened. Alright, so this is very quick. And I'm gonna read a lot of precepts, so I want you to hear what the scripture have to say more than what I have to say, which what I have to say is really the scripture. So Amos 1 and verse 11, it says, thus said the Lord, for 3 transgression of Edom, so-called white man, Esau. All right, for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother Jacob with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Now, what wrath is that referring to? Right? Let's go to the chapter. Go to Genesis 27, and let me get to the verse real quick. Right? So this is not. I remember in Genesis Deuteronomy 20:32, it says, "Ask your fathers of old, and they will tell you." All right, so this is the old story that's coming up. This is how you understand what is taking place now. This is Genesis 27 and verse, let's start from verse 40 and let's go to 41. All right, so this is 27, verse 40, verse to verse 41, sorry. "And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother." This is referring to who? Esau. "And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck." And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. You don't know the story about Esau and Jacob? Read it in Deuteronomy in Genesis 25. The blessing from the beginning was really for Israel, because the Most High is the one providing the blessing. But Esau think that Jacob robbed him of the blessing, because Rebekah was told in a dream that the elder shall serve the younger, and Esau came out first, meaning that he was the servant that should serve Israel. All right, and that's also the blessing that Jacob said, that Isaac said, Salakia, right? That you shall serve your brother, but after you get the chance to break the yoke and have dominion, you know what I mean? You're gonna do this. Alright, it says Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, "The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob." So Esau kept his wrath forever. Who is Esau? We see that way is he? His blessing was what? The sword. You shall live by the sword. Right? Up further, it tell you that Esau will live by the sword. Now, look into society today. Who is creating the weapons? You know what I mean? Who is one of the big big who have the big push behind creating weapons? The Smith. You know what I mean? Who is today? Who is all about hunting? You know what I mean? And about weapons. The so-called white man. You know what I mean? That's their blessing, and they're utilizing it because it's their blessing. You know? So let's get to the next precept. Alright? As I said, a lot of scripture is gonna come out to basically prove the point. So I'm only gonna just speak on the scriptures, but the scriptures will speak for themselves literally. So I'm just like rephrasing it. Alright, so this is Psalms 83 and verse, let's start from verse 1. Alright, so Psalms 83 and verse 1. It says, "Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people." This is also a crafty counsel. Right? They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. And again, who is thy people? You negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you Israelites, you are the Most High people. "And consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel, Yasharallah, may be no more in remembrance." Right? So, no. Or back then, you people have lost your name. You're calling yourself blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, African American, Jamaican. All these names, you're calling yourself names that are not your name, right? So you were cut off from being a nation. That name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacle of Edom. That's the first name that God called, because he's one of the main enemies of Israel and the Moabite. Alright? It says Ishmael of Moab. Remember, where this so-called thing popped up, according to them, in China. You know what I mean? So Moabizul, the Chinese, you know what I mean? And the Agarenes, Jibal and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistine, and the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also is joined up with them. They have opened the children of Lot. Do unto them. We can pause there. All right, but it's basically going into all the nations that are confederate against thee. And if you're not a nation of Israel, then all nations came together for the destroying of the nation of Israel. All right. Now, quick precept to just close off everything. So you are the nation of the sons of God. You are the salt of the earth. You are the flavor on the earth. That's what the salt means. You know what I mean? You are the true rulers and kings and princes of the earth. But today you are slaves being forced to the slaughter by your enemies, and you're not aware of it because it's what crafty counsel. You know what I mean? They're not coming out bold and plain to fight against you because you are stronger than them. You know what I mean? And they have weaponized themselves military wise to withstand a fight because you're more than them, but their weapons will overcome you if you try to fight just like that. But they know that your power that you were not taught about, which is Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Now I'm getting to Obadiah 1 and verse 6. Let's start from there. So, this crafty counsel, it says, "Oh, are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? How are we aware of these things?" Because they same one came out and spilled the beans from back then to show us their true nature, that they are devils and that they are working to destroy you people. Even myself, you know what I mean? Israelites, we are all Israelites. You Negroes, I think the Native Americans, if the Spirit is working with you, then you are an Israelite. Alright? It said, "All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee." So even the nations that were with the so-called white man, they are drawing away. They are calling them the devil. They are telling them that they're not the real Israelis. They're not the real Israel. They're not the real Jews. Nations are saying this. And a lot of Israelites don't even know this. But the nations know because they were all they're all confederate with the so-called white man to get this done. Alright? It says, "They eat thy bread, have laid a wound under thee, there is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, said the Lord, even destroy the wise men of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Timon, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob. Shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captives his forces, and foreigners enter into his gates, you fake Israelites, you Israelis, you fake Jews, and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Sold a boy for what? For a harlot, right? And for wine. So they can, have them time. Even though was one of them, but thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. That's you Negroes in America, right? Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those that did remain in the days of distress. Alright? So that's the thing that is coming for you so-called white man. And we know why you hate us. The Bible also says, he that lead into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And this is the patience of the faith and the faith of the saints. The saints are you, negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, especially the elect among those. You are the saint. The saint is what? Quadash, holy ones. You are the separate people with the Most High take unto himself. Down by Hashem Yahushai. You know what I mean? So wake up your targets. You know what I mean? This demon claims that if you don't, if it's not fairly ready for you, Negroes and Latino, he will not take the big the vaccine, and that's the mindset of these men. All right. So with that, I don't want to make it too long. It's already long. So with that, I want to say Kala Lal, Yahweh Bashem Yoshai, Bashem Rakakadash, double honors to the apostles and those of James Stone once again. To you Akim out there, Shalom.